Episode 6, The Wolf King. Long before the Imperium became an empire, before Terra ruled the stars, before the Primarchs led the Great Crusade, before Horus shattered the dream of mankind, there was a king, a warrior forged in ice and blood, a hunter who laughed in the face of monsters, a son of the Emperor who walked willingly into darkness, and somewhere beyond reality itself, he was finally coming home. First signs appeared across the Imperium without warning. At first they seemed insignificant, the kind of strange phenomena that plagued humanity every day. A navigator reporting unusual dreams, a sanctioned psyker hearing distant sounds within the warp, a merchant vessel claiming its crew had seen wolves running across impossible stars. Individually, such stories meant nothing. Collectively, they became impossible to ignore. Within weeks, thousands of similar reports emerged. Astropaths described hearing distant howls during transmission rituals. Navigator houses reported recurring visions of snow-covered forests. Warp routes shifted unpredictably. Ancient Fenrisian symbols appeared in dreams experienced by people who had never heard of Fenris. The phenomenon spread across segmentums, across sectors, across the galaxy itself. Something was moving through the warp, and the warp was reacting. On Terra, Rogal Dorn reviewed the reports personally. Thousands of pages, thousands of testimonies, thousands of fragmented accounts. Most Imperial officials saw only superstition. Dorn saw certainty. He's alive. The statement silenced the entire chamber. Guilliman looked up from the reports. "You are certain?" Dorn nodded. "As certain as I am standing here." The Lord Commander studied his brother carefully. "What makes you so sure?" For the first time, a faint smile appeared on Dorn's face. "Because nobody else would announce their arrival this loudly." Even Guilliman almost laughed, because he knew it was true. Leman Russ had never entered a room quietly, not in life, and apparently not in myth either. The investigations intensified immediately. Every report was analysed, every warp disturbance catalogued, every navigator vision examined. Patterns emerged quickly. The phenomena were not random. They were moving, travelling, approaching Imperial space, like a traveller returning home. Meanwhile, beneath the Imperial Palace, another discovery awaited. Within the Sigma Primus archives, hidden among the Emperor's private records, the Mechanicus uncovered something extraordinary. A sealed data crypt, protected by encryption systems beyond anything currently understood. The file had remained untouched for over 10,000 years, not because no one had found it, because no one had been able to open it. Until now. The crypt activated automatically when Rogal Dorn awakened. The implication was obvious. The message had been intended for him, and perhaps for someone else. The recording chamber was secured immediately. Only Guilliman, Dorn, several custodes, and a handful of Mechanicus adepts were permitted entry. The projection flickered into existence. For a moment, nobody breathed, because standing before them was the Emperor. Not the broken Emperor of the Golden Throne, not the distant god worshipped by trillions. The Emperor as he had once been. Tall, powerful, alive. Even Guilliman found himself momentarily speechless. 10,000 years vanished. For an instant, he was once again a son listening to his father. The Emperor began speaking. "My sons." The voice echoed through the chamber, calm, measured, ancient. Like, if this message is being viewed, then events have unfolded beyond even my most favourable predictions. Nobody interrupted, nobody moved. The Emperor continued. Know first that this recording was never intended to replace my guidance. A brief pause. It exists because I may not be present when it is needed. The statement struck everyone present because it revealed something uncomfortable. The Emperor had always known he might fail, not desired it, not expected it, prepared for it. The recording continued. There are threats humanity understands. Images appeared beside him. Orcs, Eldar, the Warp, Chaos. And there are threats humanity has yet to encounter. The images vanished. Darkness replaced them. The darkness beyond galaxies. Silence filled the chamber. Even before the Emperor spoke again, both Primarchs knew where this was going. Because they had seen the reports. The dead galaxy, the shadow in the warp, the great devourer. The Emperor's expression darkened. During the Dark Age of technology, fragments of evidence reached humanity. Star maps appeared, ancient survey records, impossible voids, regions of complete lifelessness. Entire regions beyond the galactic rim showed signs of biological absence. Another image. Dead stars, dead worlds, dead systems. I never discovered the cause. The admission stunned everyone present, the Emperor, admitting uncertainty. I suspected an external threat. The projection paused. Something vast. Another pause. Something patient. The chamber grew colder because every person present already knew the answer. The Tyranids. The Emperor simply never learned their name. Then came the final section, the section that would reshape everything. The Emperor looked directly toward the viewer, as though speaking across 10,000 years. If humanity survives the coming darkness, his voice softened, it will not do so through strength alone. The projection flickered. It will survive through unity. Then came one final sentence, one final message, one final prophecy. A prophecy that caused both Primarchs to stare at one another. When the wolf returns, the image distorted. The final age will begin. The recording ended. Silence followed. No one spoke for several minutes. Because the implication was undeniable. The Emperor had anticipated this moment, not perfectly, not completely, but enough. He had known something waited beyond the stars. And he had known that one day Leman Russ would return. Far beyond terror, far beyond reality itself. A lone figure walked through an endless forest. Ancient trees stretched into impossible skies. Their roots wound through futures. Their branches touched forgotten realities. The forest had no beginning, no end, no map, no logic. Yet one man had walked its paths for 10,000 years. Leman Russ, the Wolf King, and at last, his journey was nearing its end. For 10,000 years, Leman Russ had walked the impossible paths of the warp, not as a prisoner, not as an exile, not as a fugitive, as a hunter. Few among the Imperium understood why he had left. Most believed he had simply vanished. Others thought he had gone searching for a cure for the Emperor. Some believed he had died long ago. The truth was stranger than any of them imagined. Russ had departed Fenris because of a promise made in the final days of the Horus heresy, a promise known only to a handful of individuals, and one of them had been the Emperor. Long before his entombment upon the Golden Throne, the Emperor had spoken privately with the Wolf King. No records survived, no witnesses remained. Only fragments passed down through ancient Fenrisian sagas. The stories spoke of a final hunt, a hunt that would take Russ beyond the borders of reality, a hunt whose prize was knowledge, knowledge humanity would one day need. For 10,000 years, Russ had pursued that knowledge through the deepest regions of the Immaterium, through realms untouched by mortals, through places even demons feared, through territories older than civilization itself. And now, at last, he was approaching the answer. The forest stretched endlessly before him. Towering trees rose beyond sight. Their bark shimmered with fragments of possible futures. Leaves formed from memories drifted through silent air. Ancient rivers flowed backward through time. This was no ordinary warp domain. Among the oldest powers of the Immaterium, it possessed many names. The Aeldari had once called it the Grove Beyond Memory. Certain chaos entities referred to it as the Lost Route. Ancient human psychers knew it only as the Forest at the end of time. Russ simply called it the Forest because names mattered little. Only the hunt mattered. The Wolf King moved steadily through the impossible landscape. Age had changed him. His armor bore scars accumulated over 10,000 years. His beard had grown long and silver. His face carried the marks of countless battles. Yet none of those changes weakened him. If anything, they had made him more dangerous. The reckless warrior of the Great Crusade was gone. The furious berserker who challenged Horus was gone. The arrogant king who once mocked his brothers was gone. What remained was something greater, a hunter sharpened by 10 millennia of experience, a king forged by wisdom, a wolf grown old enough to become truly terrifying. As he walked, the forest reacted. Ancient spirits watched from distant shadows. Strange creatures fled from his path. Even the trees seemed to bend away from him, because they recognized him, not as prey, as predator. Eventually, Russ reached a clearing. At its center stood a structure unlike anything else within the forest. A tower, black, ancient, impossible. It appeared to be built from stone, yet somehow also from darkness itself. Russ stopped. For centuries he had searched for this place. For centuries it had remained hidden. Now it stood before him, the final destination, the end of the hunt. Slowly he approached. The massive doors opened before he touched them, as though they had been expecting him. Inside waited something ancient. Not chaos, not Tyranid, something older. The chamber beyond was vast, its walls covered in symbols older than humanity, older than the Aeldari, perhaps older than the gods themselves. At the center sat a figure, small, fragile, ancient. At first glance it resembled an old man, but appearances meant little in places like this. The creature raised its head. Its eyes glowed softly, and immediately Russ understood one thing. This being had witnessed things beyond imagination, civilizations, galaxies, entire ages of existence, all passing before its gaze. "You have finally arrived." Its voice sounded ancient beyond comprehension. Russ folded his arms. "I've been told that before." To the creature's surprise, a faint smile crossed its face. "You are much like your father." The mention of the Emperor immediately changed the atmosphere. Russ stepped closer. "You knew him?" The being nodded slowly. "Long ago." A pause. "Before your species reached the stars." The Wolf King remained silent, because he sensed something important approaching, something he had crossed eternity to discover. Finally, he asked the question that had driven his entire journey. "What is coming?" The chamber became still. The creature lowered its eyes, and for the first time, it appeared afraid, not of Russ, of the answer. When it finally spoke, its voice had become little more than a whisper. The Devourers. Russ said nothing. The creature continued. You call them Tyranids. Images appeared throughout the chamber. Galaxies, not one. Many spirals of stars stretching endlessly into darkness. Then one by one, they died, consumed, stripped bare, reduced to lifeless shells. Russ watched silently, because even after everything he had witnessed, the scale was difficult to comprehend. Entire galaxies disappearing, entire civilizations erased, entire histories ending, again and again and again. The creature pointed toward the images. They have done this before. Another galaxy vanished, and before, another, and before, another. Russ felt something unfamiliar, not fear, something colder, concern, because for the first time, the Tyranids appeared larger than war, larger than conquest, larger than empire. They were becoming something else, a force of nature, an extinction cycle. The creature looked directly into Russ's eyes. They do not invade. A pause. They migrate. The image shifted. The Tyranid swarm crossing the darkness between galaxies. Not as fleets, not as armies, as ecosystems, living oceans moving through intergalactic voids. The same revelation humanity had begun discovering. Only now Russ was seeing the full truth. The creature continued. Each galaxy strengthens them. Images flashed. New organisms, new adaptations, new biological weapons, evolution on a scale impossible to imagine. They remember every victory. Another image. They inherit every adaptation. Another. They become stronger with every feast. The final image appeared. The Milky Way. Bright, alive, waiting, and surrounding it, darkness, moving darkness, the approaching swarm. Russ stared at it for a long time. Finally he spoke. Can they be stopped? The ancient creature hesitated for the first time since the conversation began, and that hesitation told Russ everything. The ancient creature did not answer immediately. For several moments it simply stared into the endless images surrounding them. Dead galaxies, consumed stars, extinguished civilizations, the graveyard of a universe. Leman Russ waited, patient, silent, unmoving. Finally the creature spoke. Stopped? Its voice sounded distant, almost amused. No, the answer echoed through the chamber. No, not perhaps. Not maybe, not unlikely, no. The simplicity of the answer carried more weight than any explanation. The Tyranids could not be defeated, not completely, not forever. The creature continued. They are too vast. Images shifted again. The Milky Way became a tiny point of light. Beyond it stretched darkness, not empty darkness. Living darkness, the swarm. Even from this impossible perspective, Tyranid migration appeared endless, like an ocean without shores, a storm without boundaries, a hunger without limit. They have consumed beyond counting. The creature raised one ancient hand. They do not seek victory. Another pause. They seek continuation. Russ understood. That was what made them different. Orcs fought because they loved war. Chaos sought domination. The Necrons pursued restoration. The Eldari struggled for survival. Humanity fought for its future. The Tyranids desired none of those things. They simply fed. The way stars burned, the way rivers flowed, the way predators hunted. It was their nature, and nature could not be negotiated with. The creature turned toward him. But they can be resisted. For the first time, hope entered the conversation. Small, fragile, yet real. Russ listened carefully. The hive mind is vast. Images of the Tyranid consciousness appeared. Not a creature, not an individual, a living network. A consciousness spanning unimaginable distances. Every Tyranid connected, every organism sharing thought, purpose, instinct. Then the image changed. A fracture, tiny, almost invisible, yet present. Russ narrowed his eyes. What is that? The creature pointed toward the floor. Growth. The Wolf King frowned. The answer made no sense. The creature continued. The hive mind has become too large. Another image appeared. A tree, its branches spreading endlessly, growing larger, heavier, more complex, until eventually its own weight threatened to tear it apart. The more it consumes, the more difficult unity becomes. Russ remained silent. The creature looked directly at him. For the first time in its existence, a pause. The hive mind is beginning to fragment. The chamber became still because the implication was enormous. The Tyranids were stronger than ever before, yet perhaps, for the first time, also vulnerable. Not weak, never weak, but imperfect, and imperfections could be exploited. The creature stepped closer. That is why you were sent. Russ blinked. Sent? The creature nodded. Your father knew. Another impossible statement, yet somehow Russ was no longer surprised. The Emperor always seemed to know more than anyone realized. He could not see everything. The creature continued, but he saw enough. Images flashed. The Emperor, the Great Crusade, the Primarchs, the Webway Project, the Golden Throne. Pieces of a plan stretching across millennia. He knew one day mankind would face a threat unlike any before. The image shifted again. Now it showed Terra, Dorn, Guilliman, the gathering search fleets. He knew humanity would need its champions. Russ stared silently, then finally asked the question, "What must I do?" The creature smiled, a sad smile, the smile of something that had witnessed countless endings. "Go home." The chamber vanished, the tower disappeared, the forest dissolved. Reality itself seemed to unravel around him. The hunt was over, the search was complete. The Wolf King had found his answer. Now came the war. Across the Imperium, the psychic phenomenon intensified. Astropaths collapsed during transmission rituals. Navigators reported brilliant flashes of silver light. Entire choirs began hearing the howl simultaneously. Even ordinary citizens felt something changing, as though a storm approached, as though history itself had shifted direction. Then came Fenris, the homeworld of the space wolves, the death world of ice and fire, the world that had waited 10,000 years for its king. The first sign appeared within the Fang, an ancient banner, one carried by Russ himself during the Great Crusade. Without warning, it began to move, not from wind, not from machinery. It simply stirred, as though responding to a presence. Moments later, rune priests across the planet cried out simultaneously. Visions flooded their minds. Snow, stars, ancient forests, golden eyes watching from darkness. Then the howl, louder than ever before. The sound echoed across Fenris. Every space wolf heard it, every one. From the oldest great wolf to the youngest bloodclaw. The reaction was immediate. Some dropped to their knees, others laughed, others wept, because they all recognized it instinctively, absolutely, that their father was alive and he was coming home. Thousands gathered upon the battlements of the Fang, looking toward the heavens, waiting, hoping. Then the warp split open. A tear of silver light appeared above Fenris. The sky itself seemed to shatter, storm clouds scattered, auroras ignited, reality bent, and from the breach emerged a single vessel, Ancient, scarred, unknown. Its design matched no imperial pattern. Its hull bore 10,000 years of battle scars. Yet upon its prow stood a symbol every space wolf recognized immediately: the wolf. The ship descended slowly. Silence gripped the planet. No cheers, no celebrations, no speeches, only anticipation. The vessel landed before the Fang. The ramp lowered, and a giant stepped into the light. Grey armor, ancient scars, silver hair, golden eyes. For a moment, nobody moved, because myths were never supposed to become real. Legends were not supposed to walk out of the sky. Yet there he stood. Leman Russ, the Wolf King, returned. Far away on Terra, alarms activated, strategic systems updated, astropathic confirmations flooded command centers. Verification followed verification, and one final designation appeared upon the primary hololithic display. Primarch detected, identity confirmed, Leman Russ. The chamber fell silent. Guilliman stared at the display. For the first time in 10,000 years, another brother had returned. Dorn looked at the signal, at the gathering darkness beyond the galaxy, at the Tyranid swarm approaching humanity. Then, for perhaps the first time since awakening, he smiled, only slightly, but enough, because for the first time since learning the truth, humanity was no longer standing alone. One Primarch had awakened, another had returned. Across the stars, forgotten legends stirred. The sons of the Emperor were coming home, not for glory, not for conquest, but for mankind's final war. Far beyond the galactic rim, deep within the heart of the Tyranid migration, a colossal living moon continues to open. Its surface splits apart like a biological flower. Continents peel back. Oceans of living biomass retreat. Entire swarms move aside. Something is emerging, something so vast that even nearby bioships appear microscopic. For a brief moment, only a silhouette is visible, a shape larger than worlds, older than empires, a living god of consumption. Then a single eye opens, and for the first time, the hive mind focuses entirely upon the Milky Way. The hunt has entered its final stage.